That man is 38 years old. 38. You can't buy into a team, but you can go buy McDonald's or Chick-fil-A, or if it's been greenlit to go out and slang that thing. Draymond Green has been unhinged this year. Please get Steph Curry some help. The James Harden trade does just look bad for them, obviously. What's good, y'all? Welcome to another episode of Off the Backboard. I am your host, Eloy Thomas. And today we're just going to be overreacting to the start of all the Western Conference teams of the NBA. We're going to be doing the Eastern Conference as well. That'll be a video that's dropping on Friday. I didn't want to make this too long. But basically we're going to be working from the 15th seed all the way up to the first seed. Just basically giving a breakdown of all of the teams, their successes, their downfalls so far this season. And let's get right into it. Alright, so first team we're going to be talking about is the Memphis Grizzlies. So far, one highlight for them has been Desmond Bane, who so far in the season has been averaging a career-high 25.5 points, 4.5 assists, 4.5 rebounds on decent efficiency. But other than that, there's no other highlight for the Memphis Grizzlies. Basically, injuries have been a big part of the story for them, where a few nights ago when they played the Heat, they sat out Steven Adams, who of course is out for the season, Brandon Clark, who's out for the season, that Gigi Jackson, John Concar, Jake LaRavia, John Morant, who's out for obvious reasons, Derrick Rose, Xavier Tillman, and Vince Williams Jr. all sat out, and they only had 6 available players to suit up for them. That, along with the lack of center depth for them, has really hurt. Jaren Jackson Jr., of course, isn't a traditional center, still doesn't know how to rebound the ball. And he's just been, in my opinion, disappointing this season for the Memphis Grizzlies. Inefficient and can't rebound, hasn't been blocking the ball the same way that he was last year in his Defensive Player of the Year campaign. And just basically, I think that the Grizzlies are going to dig a hole that's too deep for them to come back from by the time that John Morant come back. I think it's sometime in December, mid-December. Yeah, Grizzlies have just been disappointing so far this season. I hope that they can bounce back, but just from what we've seen so far, it's not really looking like it. Cool, before we get into the next team, just so you know, I'm going to be kind of speeding through these first few teams that are, kind of towards the bottom of the conference. Once we get towards the top of the conference, we'll get more in depth. But this next team, we got the Portland Trailblazers, who are currently sitting at 3-9, 14th seed. Not a whole lot to talk about this team. The 2 vet guys that you got over there, and Malcolm Brogdon and Jeremy Grant, are probably going to be out of there before the end of the season, if we're being honest. Looking like a team that's probably going to shoot towards a rebuild with the young talent they got in DeAndre Ayton and Scoot Henderson. They also got Shaedon Sharpe over there, one of the most athletic players in the league, willing to catch a body at any time. So they got a nice solid core to build off of. Scoot Henderson, of course, has dealt with the injury so far, only played 5 games so far in the season. He hasn't looked great in those 5 games, if we're being honest, but he's, of course, an undersized point guard. It's going to take some time for him to translate into the league. This is just the beginning of the Portland Trailblazers rebuild. This is a team that's probably going to have a pretty high lottery pick at the end of the year. Hopefully they can turn that into something. I don't know a whole lot about this next year's draft, but yeah, they'll be up there. Hopefully you can snag somebody and, speed the rebuild up. Up next, we got the San Antonio Spurs, who are sitting at a 3-9 record so far in the season at the 13th seed. This is just going to be a learning year for them. Obviously, they have the youngest roster in the whole NBA with an average age of 23.5. Vic, of course, has looked amazing so far. They have a really solid young core of Jeremy Sochan, Devin Vassell, Keldon Johnson. Trey Jones has looked decent for them so far. But the second that this team gets a real point guard, it's going to be dangerous what they can do with Wemby in that offense, right? He's still getting adjusted, learning the ropes from Greg Popovich over there. But you just got to give this team a few years and they'll be up there. Like I said with the Trailblazers, they'll probably have a pretty decent pick this year so far. This year as well. So if they can bag a nice prospect, then I feel like the sky's the limit for this team with Wemby at the helm. Up next, we got the Utah Jazz. Another team that I'm going to be relatively quick with. They're just not exciting to watch, Lauri Markkanen has been good so far, really showing that All-Star season wasn't a fluke. Averaging 24 points a game, 8 rebounds a game, 42% from 3 on 8 attempts, so really stretching the floor at 7 foot. Jordan Clarkson, though, a guy over his last 5 games that's been averaging 26.5 points, 4.5 assists. Oh, excuse me. Big thing for him. I feel like if the Jazz keep losing like they are, then he's probably going to be on the move. And he's a really solid scorer that would be a great addition to any team. And I just don't really feel like he fits the Jazz timeline right now with him being 31. The Jazz got a lot of good young talent on there with Walker Kessler, Lauri Markkanen, John Collins still relatively young. You got their draft pick this year in Keontae George, which has looked good in the minutes that I've watched of him so far this season. But the Jazz, I feel like, are in kind of a weird situation because they're good enough to not get one of the top picks in the draft, and they also don't have a number 1 guy to rebuild around. I know that he's been great for them, but I feel like he would be more fit in a number 2 position, having more of like a dominant ball handler, be that number 1. But yeah, man, hopefully the Jazz can find that guy with one of those picks that they have in the next 6 off seasons. They have 14 picks. It's a ton, right? So hopefully they can flip that into a number 1 or pick up a number 1 with one of those draft picks. Up next, we got the Los Angeles Clippers, who were sitting at the 11th seed with a record of 4-7. Couple highlights for them. Paul George has been looking really good for them so far, averaging about 25 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists. It's been really nice to see Kawhi Leonard actually playing basketball again. But other than that, man, it's just the James Harden trade has just looked bad for them, obviously. They got their first win in the James Harden era a few nights ago with that game winner that he had hit. But up until it's just been an ugly watch. Some of the actions that they run, of course, have gotten them some good looks. When they run the James Harden, Kawhi Leonard pick and roll. But I just feel like there's too many ball dominant players on this team for it to be successful. James Harden obviously still thinks that he's a system. I know that quote was kind of taken out of context, but he still has that mindset of, I feel like he's a superstar player, and he's just not that anymore. This team, I hope for the sake of Russell Westbrook, because that's my favorite player of all time, that they can turn it around. But with the Western Conference as stacked it is right now, it's really hard to see them making that roster fit. Next, we got the Golden State Warriors, who are sitting at the 10th seed with a 6-8 record. And all that I can say about this team is, please get Steph Curry some help. So far this season, he's basically been having to backpack this team full of MMA fighters, I guess so, averaging 30 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, and still the only player besides Domantas Sabonis who has done it one time to put up more than 20 points in a single game this season. Think about that. Is absolutely insane. I want to talk about Klay Thompson for a second before we get into the obvious, just because he's been absolutely terrible this season. Worst season he's had since his rookie season. This last 5 games, he's been averaging 10 points, 28% from the field. But don't worry, he's shooting better from 3 than he is from the field at 29%. No longer the defender that people knew him as when in those all defensive years. Did he ever? I'm not sure if he. Besides the point, he has just looked bad this year. Ejected versus the Timberwolves 5 minutes into the game after getting in a scuffle with Jaden McDaniels, I think it was, that ended up with. Okay. Draymond Green has been unhinged this year. So first, few games before the Timberwolves game, he gets ejected versus the Cavs for an unnecessary shove on Donovan Mitchell. And then, I really don't want to be disrespectful to call out on anyone or talk out on anyone's name, but if you get ejected and you're clapping at the crowd, that just... No words, bro. You're a veteran. You've been in the NBA too long at this point to be doing stuff like that, bro. And then a few games later, he just takes a shot at Rudy Gobert, a guy that he doesn't like simply because he has more Defensive Player of the Years than he has, sitting at 3-1, and puts him in a whole MMA style chokehold. I just don't get it, man. I understand that this is who Draymond Green is, but you can't be acting out like this when you guys are losing the way that you are, when your team is acting as poorly as it is, you need to go out there and hoop and forget all of the antics, bro. At the end of the day, just get Steph Curry some help, please. He's 35, too damn old to be doing all of this, man. But top 2 point guard of all time, and to some people's eyes, he's not 2. And he's on the tail end of his career. Don't waste it. Please. Please. Up next, we got the New Orleans Pelicans, who are sitting at 6-6 to start the season at the 9th seed. One highlight for them so far has been Brandon Ingram, who is having a strong start to the season, averaging about 24 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists on 49% from the field, 22% from 3, so he can get that 3-point shooting up a little bit down from his career average, 75% from the line. But a big story for this team has been injuries. One thing I want to say so far, I'm sending my prayers out to CJ McCollum, who was diagnosed with a collapsed right lung, which is it just sounds scary just saying it out loud. But you have Jose Alvarado, who's been out with an ankle injury. Haven't seen him play basketball in a long time. Trey Murphy, big piece for the team, who's been out with a knee injury. Larry Nance Jr., who's out with a right rib fracture. So just a lot of big contributors for this team who have been out with injuries. You have Jordan Hawkins, who's looked great so far as a rookie, averaging about 13.5 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists. 36% from 3 on 8 attempts. So he's just really been asked to do a lot from that team from a shooting perspective. Just been greenlit to go out and slang that thing. Which is really but is a really that's a really hard role to take on as a rookie. So he's been excelling in that. But Zion, so far, to me at least, has been disappointing. He's averaging about 21 points on the season so far, about 6 or 7 rebounds, 4 assists. But just the quote from the other day, the "I'm trying to buy in" quote, just doesn't make any sense to me, because this has been your team. That's the whole focus of this organization has been around you. When you really haven't earned it, they bought into you, giving you that massive contract. It's like, bro, you can't buy into a team, but you can go buy McDonald's or Chick-fil-A or... Alright, let me chill. But Zion, he just needs to be the number 1 option for this team, man. He needs to be the player that they thought that he was going to be. I feel like once he ramps that up and really starts, like being that guy for them, that's when this guy could be for the limit for this team. But like I said, they got to deal with the injuries first, and Zion has to buy in on something other than a Big Mac combo. Up next, we got the Phoenix Suns, who are also sitting at a 6-6 record at the 8th seed. Another team I'm going to be kind of quick on just because of the lack of the big 3 availability, right? We haven't seen the big 3 of Bradley Beal, Devin Booker, and Kevin Durant suit up once this season so far. KD, surprisingly, at 35 years old, has been their most consistent player. Amazing season for him so far. 30 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists on 52% from the field, 50% from 3, 86% from the free throw splits. Also giving you a steal and a block a game so far. But Devin Booker, his playmaking has looked great so far in the 4 games that he's been able to play because of that lingering calf injury. Putting up about 30 points and almost 11 assists a game from Devin Booker. I know it's a really short sample size, but it's really good to see that he's upgrading that playmaking chops, especially since they're not a team that has a traditional point guard. They're going to be rolling out Bradley Beal when he gets back from that injury. But it was said that he's going to be out for at least 3 more weeks with this injury that he has. I'm not even sure. Pretty sure it's a back injury. So get well soon, Bradley. I'm really excited to see this team when they are at full strength, but not much to talk on until they do get there. Up next, we got the 7-6 Los Angeles Lakers, who are sitting at the 7th seed. And a couple highlights for this team. Shout out my boy Cam Reddish. That's it. Get LeBron some help. That man is 38 years old. 38. I'm sick of the players just getting to say whatever they want in the preseason, and then the regular season comes and they just don't stand on business.
I don't feel like you standing on business, nigga.
AD wants to talk about, oh, I want to take over. I want to be the number one option on this team. Basically saying that this was going to be his team this year, and you still have LeBron doing the goddamn most. LeBron is averaging 25 and a half, 8 and a half rebounds, 6.5 assists on 33 minutes a game. I remember after the second game of the season that their head coach came out and said that LeBron was going to be on a minutes restriction for to 28 to 30 minutes a game. Where? How, Sway?
It's yourself.
How, Sway?
Take a few steps back to go.
You ain't got the answers, man.
Because how are they going to win games if he's not backpacking this team? This is the equivalent of going on a hiking trip with your grandma and making her carry all the bags. He's too damn old for this, man. And I remember before the season, I'm rambling right now, I know. But before the season, they were talking about, oh, AR-15, that's a contract steal. They just stole him. No, it's not. He quickly became one of the most overrated players in the entire league this last season. Somehow overnight, I feel like, of course, he had a really solid playoff run with them, but he had that. I feel like he had that I'm him moment, and it's just been downhill since then. He couldn't hit a shot to start the beginning of the season. I know that he's looked better since coming off of the bench, but man, the Lakers need to realize that Anthony Davis is not a number one option before it's too late, aka before LeBron retires or before Bronny gets drafted and he just dips. Figure it out. Up next, we got the Houston Rockets, who are sitting at the 6th seed right now with the 6-4 record. That just sounds so weird to say 10 games into this season that the Rockets are the 6th seed. But Dylan Brooks and Fred VanVleet have, of course, been great additions to them so far. Great veteran additions to a team that really needed it. They, of course, last year were extremely young, one of the worst teams in the NBA. So who I'm going to be primarily talking about for the Houston Rockets is Alfred Sengun, who has just been stellar for them this season. So far, putting up 20 points a game, 8.5 rebounds, 6 assists on 58% from the field, 38% from 3, and 63% from the line. He's a guy that I feel like the sky is kind of the limit for him, right? I feel like has that baby Jokic build, just not really. He's a little bit more athletic than Jokic. He's can catch a body at any time, but he's definitely not the shooter that he is. And obviously doesn't have the touch from free throw. Like I said, only shooting 68% from the field or from the free throw line this year. But in his last few games, when they've really been letting him take, I feel like, the number one option in offense. He's putting up 23.5 points a game, 8 rebounds and 4 assists. So the assists dipped down a little bit, but the scoring did jump up. And these were in all competent opponents in the Pelicans, Denver, and the Clippers. Clippers, I shouldn't say competent opponent. You know how that's going down there in LA. But yeah, when Alfred Sengun has the keys to this offense, I just feel like that's when they look the best. Jalen Green, I feel like this might be a little bit of a hot take, but I feel like he's a guy that would be more successful as like the third option on a really successful team, right? I feel like he's in that J.R. Smith build. Super athletic, can score in bunches, but he just doesn't really do much else. I feel like Jalen Green was a guy that was drafted with kind of the expectation of being a number one, but I feel like the quicker that the Rockets realize that, then the quicker, the more success that this team will have. Up next, we have the 5th seed 7-4 Sacramento Kings, who have had a really strong start to the season, even with De'Aaron Fox missing a little bit of time with an ankle injury. So far, De'Aaron Fox, though, is just making scoring the basketball look too easy. Averaging a cool 32.5 points a game, 4.5 rebounds, 6 assists on 50% from the field, 38% from 3, and 75% from the line. That 43 piece against the Spurs, man, it just seemed almost effortless. He was just getting to the basket, hitting from mid-range, hitting from 3. It was just an overall really fun game to watch. Besides the Pacers, they're probably one of the most fun teams to watch in the whole NBA, in my opinion, just because of De'Aaron Fox and the way that he runs that offense. Domantas Sabonis as well is, of course, having another fantastic season, probably an all-star lock. Putting up 20 points, 13 rebounds, 7.5 assists, a steal, and a block on 60% from the field, 43% from 3. His free throw shooting is a little bit down this year at 64%. But other than that, of course, having another amazing season for the Kings, the Beam team over there. Malik Monk has, of course, been a strong 6 man of the year contender for them so far. Super athletic guy, always catching bodies. This year he's putting up 14 points, 7 assists. Oh, no, that's the last 5 games, sorry. 14 points, 5 assists, 3 rebounds on only 24 minutes a game. So his usage, of course, hasn't been as high as it was the previous year, but he's still giving them really good production. Someone I'd like to see a little bit more from is Keegan Murray, who has had a really slow start in terms of efficiency to start the year, having one of those sophomore slumps. So far in the year, he's only shooting 38% from the field, 28% from 3, and 82% from the line on 14 points a game. He's a guy that I was really excited to watch coming into this year. Sophomore slumps are normal. We've seen Scotty Barnes have his last year, and now he's having this stellar season with the Raptors. I'm sure he'll pick it up, but of course the Kings as a whole have just been great watch this year. Great team, really hard team to play against. Up next, we have the 4th seed, 9-4 Oklahoma City Thunder. And of course, as some of you guys may know, the Oklahoma City are my favorite team. They have been, since pretty much I started watching the NBA. And I'm not trying to be biased when I say this here, but Shea, dog. Giddey, dog. You got Lou, dog. Chet, dog. Isaiah Joe, snipe. Now, but on a real note, though, this OKC Thunder team has been probably one of the most exciting teams to watch in the past few years, besides that when we first got rid of KD and it was just Russell Westbrook going crazy. But, this team is just a really fun to watch. Chet has, of course, been insane this year, averaging 17 points, 8 rebounds, 2.5 blocks this year. Of course, he had that amazing game against the Thunder last night, putting up 36 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals, 2 blocks, and the fadeaway 3 to take the game to overtime. SGA, of course, in that game as well, had 40 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists, 7 rebounds, 2 steals, 2 blocks. So those guys have just been insane so far. I also wanted to give some love to Vasilij. Micic. I just call him Micic. I have no idea how to pronounce this dude's name. But just to give some love to him and Cason Wallace. 2 rookies for us that have just been great. Of course, Micic not a rookie. He was a EuroLeague MVP. Cason Wallace out of Kentucky. Those Kentucky guards, I feel like, just are the safest bet, man. It feels like he can't miss a shot. Locking up on defense when he's on the floor. He's taking the best player on the other team. It's been a great watch, man. Really excited for the future of this Thunder team. Second youngest team in the NBA, and I feel like we can really hang around this 4th to 5th seed range. So the right now is bright, the future is bright. I just want to give a huge shout out to Sam Presti for building this team, because man, we've had some struggles when in the Westbrook era, you teamed up with Paul George, that wasn't it. He left, we had SGA and Chris Paul, that wasn't it. And now it's just watching this team grow in front of my eyes has been insane. So really excited for the future. Up next, we have the Luka-led Dallas Mavericks sitting at the 3rd seed right now with a 9-4 record. So this team has looked great so far this year offensively. Second in the league in points per game, 1st in 3-point percentage, and 1st in 3 points made so far. So a lot of snipers on that team. Of course, you got Grant Williams, who's shooting over 50% from the 3-point line so far this year, who's been a great addition for them as a team. Then you have Luka, man, who's currently a 2nd in MVP voting, averaging almost 31 points per game, 7.5 rebounds, 8 assists on 50, 42, 76 splits. So he's just been absolutely incredible for them. It's just something that we've come to expect from Luka. Last night, I can't remember who the Mavericks were playing, but Kyrie was just going crazy. I think at the time he had like 36. Me and my brother checked the box score, and we seen Luka had 30, and it's like, it's not even a surprise to us anymore. He's just someone that is just so amazingly consistent at scoring. You have Kyrie, who's having a great season, as I just mentioned, averaging about 22.5 points a game, 4 rebounds, 6 assists on 46% from the field, 40% from 3, and 85% from the field, or from the free throw line. Sorry about that. So that backcourt has looked great for them. Something that I kind of just wanted to talk about, though, is been the slow start for Josh Green. He's someone who I thought was going to, take a really big jump this year for the Mavericks, be, that third option for them. But that just really hasn't been the case. So far, only averaging 6.5 points, 2.5 rebounds, 2 assists. On bad efficiency, about 40% from the field, 34% from 3 really isn't bad, but only 50% from the line. So, yeah, he's a guy that really likes to attack the basket, and when he's getting there, one, he's not converting, and if he's getting fouled, then he's not converting from the line either. So, yeah, Josh Green has just been disappointing for me this year. But Grant Williams, like I mentioned earlier, has been a great fit for this team. Derek Lively is having a really strong rookie start. Yeah, if Luka keeps playing the way that he is, man, and the supporting cast keeps, doing what they need to do, this is a team that can be really scary. Are they a true contender yet? I'm not sure. We would have to wait for a little bit longer in the season to kind of feel that out. But great start so far for Luka and the Mavericks. And up next, we have the second seed Minnesota Timberwolves. They're sitting at 9-3 on the season so far. Anthony Edwards. He has just been electric to watch so far this season. Really blooming into a superstar on both ends of the floor. So far in the season, averaging 26.5 points, almost 6 rebounds, 5.5 assists on 46% from the field, 37% from 3, 82% from the line, and a steal and a half per game. So, like I said, getting in on defense, getting in on offense, been the clear-cut number 1 option for this team, leading them to a great record. What more can I say? This guy, future is bright in Minnesota with him at the helm. You also have Kat and Rudy Gobert, who have both been having solid seasons for them on the front court. Rudy Gobert, of course, being the defensive presence, averaging 12 points, 12 rebounds, 2 blocks, real generic Rudy Gobert type numbers. And then you have Karl-Anthony Towns, who was a guy before the season and to start the season a little bit with that rough start that he had, was in a little bit of trade talks. But I feel like the Timberwolves definitely shouldn't do anything right now with this hot start that they've had. Kat so far in the season averaging 22 points, 9 rebounds, 3 assists, pretty solid efficiency. When he started to start the year, the efficiency was not there, but he's really picked it up in these past few games. Last 5 games, averaging 57% from the field, 42% from 3, 95% from the line. So really getting that efficiency up. They of course had that whole scuffle with the Golden State Warriors a few nights ago. Anthony Edwards was at the line, and Draymond was basically yapping at him after a hard foul. Draymond looks at him and is like, "What are you gonna do about it? What are you gonna do about it?" Ant-Man looked that man in his face and said, "Ain't nobody worried about you." And I guess that Draymond took that personally and put Rudy Gobert in a headlock. But besides that little scuffle, they still won the game, of course, but really great start to the season for the Timberwolves. Wanted to give Mike Conley a shout out, who's just been looking like a point god so far in the season. 56 assists to 7 turnovers, so an insane assist to turnover ratio. I really hope that the Timberwolves can keep this traction and go into the not be fine for a play-in spot like they did last year, really go into the playoffs confidently. Just because I love watching Anthony Edwards play, man, and I feel like he's a guy that would really take it to the next level in the playoffs. Last but definitely not least, we have the Nikola Jokic-led Denver Nuggets, who are sitting at the first seed right now with a 9-3 record. Nikola Jokic just makes basketball look easy. Nikola Jokic works the NBA as a part-time job, and he tends to his horses full-time. I've never seen anything like Nikola Jokic. I feel like for every player in the NBA besides Giannis, but you can say, got this from Jimmy High Roller's video. Shout out to Jimmy High Roller. He's really comparable to Kevin Garnett. Giannis is. I don't think we've ever seen an NBA player quite like Nikola Jokic. He's on 50% out there at all times, it feels like. I've never seen this dude do a full sprint or run on the season, averaging 30 points per game, 14 rebounds, 9.2 assists, top 5 in all of those categories. Only NBA player, obviously the only player in the league to be doing that this season. Guy's just insane, man, and he's definitely en route for his third MVP award if Luka doesn't keep acting up out in Dallas. But even if he does, that Nikola Jokic is just better. I was talking about this last video where there's a sizable gap between Nikola Jokic and the second best player in the NBA. You can argue if that's Giannis or Luka, but there's no argument that Nikola Jokic is the number one. Just has his team looking amazing, even with Jamal Murray out. He's been out with a hamstring injury since November 4th. Even before then, wasn't looking too insane, only averaging about 16.7.5 assists a game. But Nikola Jokic, if they have him on the floor, then they'll be all right. The offense that he's running right now is second in passes per game, second in assists per game, first in field goal percentage, and this last one I'm saying, they're worst in free throw percentage in the league. Just imagine if they can get that up to league average, because they're not even shooting league average from a free throw right now. If they get that up, that's just another part to this deadly offense that Nikola Jokic is running. It just feels like the Nuggets look unstoppable right now, and they're very likely to repeat. In my opinion, if I was a betting man and if I had to choose right now, I'm definitely saying that the Nuggets have the strongest chance to win an NBA championship this year, just based off of the fact that they have the best player on the planet with a very great team around him that just has everything that he needs at his disposal, all the tools to offense. It's just the Nuggets are an insane watch. Of course, they have the number 1 seed in the Western Conference, best team out there so far, and it's just been amazing to watch Nikola Jokic this prime, man. And that'll do it for today's video. I just want to say thank you so much for watching if you've made it this far. And if you have made it this far, just drop in the comments basically who do you think is going to be the biggest discrepancy from where they're seated now towards the end of the season. If I had to pick, I don't see the Rockets sticking around that 6th seed, man. So let me know if you agree, disagree, what your take is. And of course, if you enjoyed this video at all, drop a like, subscribe. Again, thank you so much for watching. I'll be back this Friday with the Eastern Conference, basically just reacting to their start of the season as well. So be on the lookout for that. I'll catch you guys later. Peace.